Welcome to Mind Pioneer, the podcast where host Scott Donnell interviews experts in health, wellness, and technology.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. We are so excited to have you with us. We have an amazing conversation we're going to have today for all of you moms out there, and probably dads too, because it's related. As parents, you both have a lot of work to do, but this is specifically for the moms in the world. And I've got my friend Christina Garrett here with us today. She is the founder of Mamathon. She consults and advises powerhouse women of influence and leadership all over America with strategies to be more productive and organized in their family, their career schedules, and their personal development. It's all about home and hustle. It's an amazing program. I'm so excited, coming to us from Alabama. Welcome to the podcasts, Christina.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. This is going to be an awesome conversation. So,
Yes.
I got to ask you, kind of first things first. How was your parenting growing up? But we'll get into moms in a minute. But let's talk about you as a younger kid, and you had a mom. I'm expecting, because you were birthed, and a dad. What was your parenting situation like when you were a kid?
Well, I grew up in the DMV, the DC metro area, and grew up almost suburban life. My mom and dad were both educators and entrepreneurs. So we grew up with a lot of Bible lessons and very practical knowledge. I had a comedian for a father. So I kind of grew up in a home where I felt joy. We had lots of music in our house and laughter. And so thinking back, it was a beautiful experience growing up. And I also had parents that knew how to come back later and apologize. If we had things that happened in our home and my dad knew that he responded in a way that wasn't favorable, or he felt like represented the God he served, he would come back to us later and say, I'm sorry for responding that way. And I think that really impacted how I mother to this day.
Wow. What a blessing. That's an amazing synopsis of your childhood. I don't think there's a lot of people who can say that. And look at what you're able to do with that in your background. Now you're almost exploding that love that was given to you to a bunch of other people. How cool is
I'm
that?
doing my best. Very cool. And I'm grateful, that we can drop a pebble in the ocean and start the ripple.
Absolutely. And you have 5 beautiful kiddos, right?
I do. My house is very loud, even though you can't tell right now. They're well instructed when mom is doing things like these quiet moments. But ages from 13, I have a set of twins who are about to be 11, and then a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So my house is always bustling. We also homeschool our kids. So triple knowing what it's like to have a buzzing and chaotic home.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Your house is full of energy and people. I love it.
Yours is too. So it's a beautiful life, even when it's loud.
It's crazy that it all comes at once, right? Like, I think this is what a lot of young parents, and, we're going to talk a lot about moms today, but all parents feel this. They're like, okay, I'm just figuring out my life in my 20s or early 30s, and you're just trying to figure out a career, right? And work takes off. Usually at this time, these are the peak performance years and peak money making years. And then you throw a kid in, then you get married, right? Usually.
Yes. Usually, sometimes.
Sometimes the first baby isn't always 9 months, but yeah. Okay. So most people get married or before or after. And so you're trying to navigate marriage and living with another person when you have set up all your rhythms and routines beforehand. You got to unlearn everything and start over and die to yourself and make sure it's good for the other person. Then you throw children into the mix. And children are God's most amazing curse. No, I'm just kidding. Blessing.
Teachers.
They are the most amazing blessing / crazy thing and fun, miracles that you'll ever have. And it's exhausting and it's painful and it's humbling every day, but it's also the most fun, and you've never experienced such love in your life. It's incredible.
Yes. So, all of those things.
They're a blessing. They're amazing.
Yeah.
My kids are amazing. But how do you navigate all that? Well, how do you do all that at once? Because it's almost like crazy that it all comes at once. You're trying to figure out marriage, you're trying to figure out work, and then all of a sudden you throw kids in this. What do you do?
Well, my husband and I, we got married young. We got married at about 21, still in college, poor, didn't have anything to our names. But we had a commitment that we were going to stay together, that we were going to work through any of the kinks. And most importantly, that we were going to develop a mutual respect for each other beyond, the little things, how you squeeze a toothpaste and how you put the toilet paper roll. These things are trivial and sometimes are the collapse of the family dynamic. So that being said, about a year into our marriage, we found out we were pregnant. We were so excited. And when that son was about 18 months, we found out we were expecting the twins. And so that was when everything, young parents, 25, maybe, now parents of 3, we had to get a minivan, Scott. I felt like all my sass was just dead, so we had to really learn how to take better care of ourselves and better care of each other so that we could be the parents that our children needed. So one of the things that I always suggest when we're navigating this journey is, what is your family vision? Everyone has a vision for their family, whether you thought about it when you found out she was expecting, whether, as women, sometimes we're thinking about it years before we even meet you guys. We're thinking about how we want our families to work and operate. But as a coach, I kind of go a little further and say, what do you want your family to feel like? If just like you asked me early on, if there was an atmosphere in your home that wasn't working or you felt like wasn't conducive to healthy growth and maturity, how are you going to correct these things in your family? So kids come in the mix, and you have to remember, I want my house to be different in this way. I want to embrace this journey with my family, or when my kids do grow up, because they do, I want them to look back and say this about me and about their upbringing. But these are things that we start working on today. The time that we take, the slow moments, vacations, these awful long conversations when your kids hit teen years. Like, everybody who has a teenager or an adult child knows what I mean. When, your child comes upon things they weren't supposed to see yet, and they come and ask you, what is that? And you have to explain the facts of life, and where the babies come from, and all these in-depth conversations about things that they hear in the world. And you have to be mature enough as a parent to say, I want to, go through these processes with you. But the family vision is so important, looking back and saying, what I want my kids to say about me when I'm gone one day. Do they want me to be a raging rhino parent, or, can they say that they really enjoyed their upbringing?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I remember my wife and we filled out this book when we were dating. It was called 101 Questions to Ask Your Spouse.
I love it.
Before you get married.
Yes, so many people skip this stuff, like these uncomfortable conversations.
Our pastor told us to do it. It was awesome. And the whole thing was like, whoa, what? You what? Yeah, it was like 100 times. Like, wow, I didn't think about that. Oh, no way. You thought that? Yeah. So it's so good to sort of get, it saved us from so many hassles and frustrations. It also, on the good side, it helped us, think through how we wanted to have our family, how we wanted to have our home look, and how many kids we wanted to have. What our hope was as they grow, what sort of friend group we want to raise our kids with. I'm an entrepreneur. And so, 5 of my closest friends are entrepreneurs as well. And, and their families is, same age. And so we're kind of just doing life together and making it work and giving each other freedom. And, what do you feel about this faith thing? What do you think about that politics thing? You like guns? I hate guns. It's pretty funny.
I'm in Alabama. They love the guns here.
They love guns here too. Trust me. My grandpa signed me up for the NRA when I was 7 years old. I didn't even know I was a part of the NRA until like 2 years ago. I got like a letter in the mail. I was like, what? I'm on the list? I didn't even know. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny to me. That's funny. But I'm going to check out that book because my husband's a pastor. And so I'm interested to see, for young couples that are coming up, couples of any age really, who need to have those conversations and say, you did what? I can't believe it. But we've discussed, my husband and I, we grew up in different types of families. So my husband's father, was, his parents were married, but his dad didn't have that positive example of what a godly dad was supposed to be like, an honorable father. So my husband had to learn on his own, what a strong man looked like. And so we had to, work through all the things. And, I'm so grateful for his role in the home, because dads are everything. I don't know. I know there are a lot of moms that are killing it by themselves, but I am so grateful every day. I have 4 sons. I'm grateful every day that my husband is here as a parent with me. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. And if you're a guy out there listening, there may be single mom somewhere in your community that you can help, and you can be a dad, right? Every kid needs a mom. Every kid needs a dad. They need help, and you don't have to be their biological parent. That's crazy talk. So
mentors, big brothers are all needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we got to talk about Mamathon. All right.
Yes.
I love this. I think it's by the way, I think it's the coolest name. Mamathon.
Thank you.
You're the founder of Mamathon. Your goal is to help maximize the power and success and time and energy of women and moms. What made you want to focus on this one, and explain what it is? Explain what Mamathon does.
Okay, so the Mamathon mission movement is an online and offline community for epic women who are on the move, who want to get more done by strategically doing less. So my clients, while we have all different types of women in the community, my clients are primarily wives and mothers, with all due respect to ladies who don't have children yet. If I could sleep all night, wake up when I desire, the house is quiet. What are you doing? So, go sit at Starbucks, enjoy yourself. But then for some of us, we have husbands that we share, spouses that we share our life with. We have a home to manage, right? Then you throw children into the mix, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and you realize that you're working on these goals, but you're constantly distracted. And there are the very practical elements of nurturing and loving a family. But if husband has been gone all day, he's probably going to want dinner when he gets home. And kids are always asking about what's for lunch. And there's laundry and dishes and all these other elements that come in that really distract us from the goal that we're trying to work on. So the Mamathon mission is for women all around the world. We've branched out to about 40 countries now, of amazing women who are on the move. They're trying to get more done, but they realize that having a family complicates things. Yep. And across the board, while I know Scot is an amazing and active father, usually for the majority of families, the woman carries she's not the only one that carries the mental load, because I hate when that is said. Moms carry the mental load of the house, and dads are off golfing and doing all the other things. And that sounds so unreasonable to me, because I know my husband is a hardworking father. But we tend to carry a majority of maybe household responsibility, or we at least feel like we are carrying it, even if we don't have to. Yeah. And so the Mamathon community strengthens each other with the sisterhood, as well as gives you the tools and the strategies so that you don't feel so overwhelmed and burned out as a mom. I've been a burned out mom. She was not cute. She was stressed out and frustrated. So we try to give them the practical tools they need to feel alive and energized, get rid of resentment and overwhelm, and really enjoy their life.
I love it. Did you say 40 countries?
Yeah, it's growing. We went viral on accident in 2016 when my husband was hit by a car while crossing the street. And so I went live the next morning after having been up all night at the hospital, and I talked about how God prompted me to pray for him that morning. Now, I pray for my husband all the time. Sometimes it's in passing, thank you, God. But there are other times where I'm like, Lord, protect my husband today while he does all the things, Wow. We went out to dinner with family that night. He said, I'm just going to run across the street real quick to go and talk to a family friend. And some girl did not see him, hit him. He rolled up on her windshield, cracked her window, rolled back down the street, all the things. And he was the only pedestrian to be hit by a car that survived that week. And so I went live and just talked about how gracious God was. Like, sometimes he tells you to do stuff and sometimes we actually listen. And I was grateful that I did, because I don't know what would have been the other way. And so, somehow that was the message that he wanted to go viral. Went from like 500 followers to like 13,000 in a weekend.
Crazy.
So we've been growing ever since, and doing conferences and meetups and retreats, and working with companies also to help their working moms. But yeah, it's changed a lot over the years.
Unbelievable. What a story. I'm sorry that happened, but it's amazing how God uses pain for power. It's incredible.
He's still here, so I'm grateful. That's all I can ask for, is every day is someone's day to grieve. So every day is not your day. You're grateful.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I just always wake up and feel like I woke up on the right side of the dirt.
Yes.
I'm thankful. I'm proud. I'm glad. Thank you, God. Here we go.
Yeah. And then I have an opportunity to change my life. If everything wasn't right yesterday, I'm awake today, so I can do something to change my situation.
Well, what makes the Mamathon community unique, you think, to you?
I think it's unique because I've had ladies come to events and tell me, I've never been in a room full of women where everybody was optimistic and encouraging. They said, it seems like I go to events or conferences and sometimes there's an energy there that doesn't feel authentic. And I think that I've done the best I can to represent who I am, the God in me, and to be vulnerable about my family. I have 5 children. Some days I look like this. The podcast can't see me, but I look cute. And then some other days I'm just barely making it and I get back into the bed, right? So I think what makes it special is that there are so many different women from so many varying walks of life, but we all come together because we genuinely want what's best for our family. And we don't want to go down in flames while we do it. So every mom wants to love her husband well, her spouse well, partner. Every woman wants to love her kids well, but I don't want to feel like a mess until they graduate and go to college. And that's how a lot of us feel. We feel like I'm just barely holding on and hoping for when the kids are going to school and I have a break. Yep.
And then you have a long break. Yeah. And then the break's the rest of your life. So you missed it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. And, I'm thinking here about, I remember the 4 pillars of productivity. Is that something that you have? Okay. We got to talk about that, because I think one of the most unique things are the resources that you guys can give to moms all over the world. I'd love to teach the audience about these. So talk about this kind of work-life balance and these 4 pillars of productivity for a second.
Okay, so we've already touched on the first pillar of productivity, which is creating the family vision. Okay, which again is for you to envision 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when your smallest child is an adult, and do they even want to come home for Thanksgiving break? Have you ran those children away to college and they don't want to come home? What we want to do is create an atmosphere in the home and really feel how I want my home to run. What kind of vision did I have years before? What were the prayers I had for my family? What did I envision my marriage being like? All of these things are important. And if you can
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Before we move on to the second one, I want to hear, tell us some of the things that you thought about your family vision, like your kids coming back, like the smell of the house, or what is it? Explain some of the things that came to mind for you.
So I'm going to tell you, my husband's father was a workaholic, right? They own barbershops in Detroit. Heard of Motown? He was a Motown barber, right? This is my husband's family. All the men in his family cut hair. He's been working since he was a child, literally since he was a child. So he owns a barbershop now and pastors a church, and we do all these things. And one of the things that he says he appreciates about me is that I try to make our kids' childhood fun. I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't this normal? Like, isn't this what you do? You go on mini vacations, not gigantic, but, 2 hours over to the local state park, or, let's camp out this night, or movie night and cookies. And he was like, no, we did not do that. Like, you try to bring to our home.
Wow.
So early on, I knew that I wanted to enjoy the friendship that I saw my parents have. They were together in love and faithful to each other until my dad's passing 10 plus years ago. But I knew that I wanted that. And I knew that I wanted to enjoy being a mom, not to feel like it was a bad thing. Because once you get married, and you probably know this, Scott, especially as a man. So when you get married and when you're having children, there are these people, whoever those people are, and they come and they have the opposite side of the spectrum as it comes to parenting and marriage. And they say, watch out for this, or it's going to be like this. And we didn't want our family to feel like that. We wanted to say we enjoy each other. We still have fun. We're still friends. Even when we're annoyed with each other, we're just going to sit here and eat Chinese food and gain weight and enjoy and love each other, So that was what I pictured ahead of time. And I have to remember the vision every day. Just like some people make a vision board, or you write it out, or however you bring your vision, vision for your business to life. You have to do the same thing for your family, that you actually have a plan, not just, keep the kids alive. What kind of experience do I want you all to have growing up, so that you guys feel like you got the best of me.
I love it. That's so good. I'm thinking about that right now as I think my 11-month-old's like faintly crying in the background. I'm
like,
we have a fun home though. I think fun, and we have a really good relationship, and our kids it's like a sweet smell when you walk in, and
yeah.
Okay, number 2.
Okay, so number 1, create the family vision. Number 2 is communicate your needs to your loved ones. Now, women are notorious for thinking that men are psychic. I don't know where we got this from. Did our mother say this? Grandmothers, he should know. Our friends, probably single friends, told us that your man should be able to read your mind. But 95 to 97% of the time, he would really appreciate some hints about what would make you happy, what would make you feel good, opportunities for you to feel energized. All of these things are so necessary. Another statistic that is really interesting is about division of labor in the home. Okay, so it's different, probably maybe both parents working outside the home, both parents working inside the home, stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, all these different dynamics. But a lot of women feel like it's our responsibility to do all the things. And husband comes in and he puts the mugs in the left cabinet and not the right. And now you feel like he doesn't do it right. I need to come and fix everything. And so part of that, it's true. So part of communicating your needs is being self-aware so that you know what will make you work better. And then communicating that to your significant others, to your children. My kids are old enough that I just don't clean up after them anymore. I walk through like, whose house are y'all in? Fix it. And I go do something else, because my kids are older. But as you have smaller children, I learned early, even my 2-year-old, my 3-year-olds could contribute around the house by picking up their toys or doing things. So if we can learn to communicate in a way that our loved ones can receive and respond to, they can hear me well, it's the right time. You don't ask your husband for a date during the football game. You wait until after, take him food. And then you say, baby, I would love to go out on this night. Do you have any plans on that? Can we go out? I want to get dressed up, And 9 times out of 10, if you call a man sugar daddy, and if you say, hey, baby, in just the right way, he'll do whatever you want. So
so true. That's so true. Oh my God.
Can we ask in a way they can receive and respond to? You have to know what you need, and then you have to know how and when to ask. So that's number 2 is communication. Number 3 is delegate. So we have create, communicate, delegate unnecessary tasks is number 3. So this kind of touches on, you go to church, Scott, so I'm going to just touch there, is there's a scripture in one of the Corinthians that talks about the body, the body of the church and things. And one person is a hand, and someone else is an eye, and someone is an ear. And everyone has their role and their specialty that they do well. The hand does not try to be the foot, the body would fall. So because of this very practical lesson, we can carry it over to how our homes and businesses run.
Yeah.
Because some of us try to do all the things, and we're social media managers, and we're PR, and we're marketing, and we're, CEO, CFO, president, we're doing everything. And it's important for us to remember that we can delegate these things that we're not amazing at. And we also can delegate things that I personally don't have to do. And it's just, for women, we have to remember there are some things that only I can do. And then there are things that other people can do for me to support me. So if you're thinking about your family, unless you guys get down like TLC, you're the only person that should be having married fun with your spouse. Y'all know what I mean. And no one else can hug and affirm your children like you can. So all this other stuff, who's going to clean the house, who's going to cook, you can pay somebody to do that. Your husband will bring home takeout if you do number one, number two right. So
that's good. I love that. I'm in these coaching programs, and just crazy money that you spend to get coached by some of the world's best. And the number one thing they all say is outsource everything but genius. Yes. Right?
Oh, I love that.
Get everything off your plate, especially the stuff you don't like to do and the stuff you're not good at. And the stuff that you're not good at and you don't like to do, that's never doing it.
Yeah.
Or automate it, or even ask yourself, do I ever need to even have that in my life? Right?
Yes.
In a business, you think about, why am I doing this for these customers? I don't even want these customers. Like, they're my lowest hanging fruit customers that are making these. They're losing me money, and Lord bless them, but they'll be better served somewhere else. Like, cut that customer and get things off your plate that aren't giving you life. And nobody translates that very well to family, right? Like, cut off anybody, but I'm saying, like, the yard, or if you have a pool, or groceries, or cleaning, like, there's so many things that we end up doing that sucks our time away that could be spent with our kids, especially in the most valuable time of their development. And
absolutely.
We really tried to make an effort saying, all right, we're going to spend a little more money on it, but that's totally okay, because we're buying time with our children, each other. You're exactly right. Delegate unnecessary tasks. And so for some women, it might only be a couple things that they want to delegate. For other women, it's like, okay, like,
take it all. But I found that we only have so much energy and so many hours in the day, so for women, we somehow want to own everything. Maybe we like being a superhero. Maybe, sometimes I've extra loud, hoping my husband will hear, me in the kitchen scrubbing. It's like, there's no notoriety there. It's only exhaustion and defeat. And half the time you're mad at your family who's sitting on the couch watching Netflix while you're doing, when you could just call everybody in. I say, if your kid can swipe up, they can clean up. If they can operate the tablet, y'all can separate clothes. And
my 11-month-old just found out how to swipe up, so I'm going to see if he can clean a toilet next.
Listen, I'm telling you, dishes. No.
Yeah, he'll lick them.
Lick them clean. Yeah. So I think that's 1, 2, 3. The fourth one is to alleviate. And alleviate is removing your stress and your overwhelm, because now you know what you want for your home and for your business. Now you've told your family members and friends how you want to support them and how they can support you. It has to be mutual. And then you removed a whole lot of stuff. I don't wash dishes anymore. I just say, hey kids, whose day is it? And they come on in. But you'd be shocked how many moms have kids their height, and the children are off chilling, and mom is doing everything, and she's frustrated and irritated. And after that, here comes dad trying to hug on her the right way. And she wants nothing to do with him because she's tired. And if you loved me, you would help me with the dishes, and you have kids who are your height. It's like, y'all get in here and do the dishes. Me and dad are taking a nap. So because you've done all of it, you can alleviate your stress and your overwhelm by practicing self-care, self-awareness, and really understanding what you want for your family and home.
Yeah, those are great. I love those 4. Create a family vision, communicate your needs to your loved ones in a way they can receive and respond to it. Delegate unnecessary tasks and alleviate stress and overwhelm. That is an incredible map. I can see why you have an amazing group of people that follow you and do your conferences. Are the conferences in Alabama? Is that where they're at?
Well, we've done Atlanta, Florida, Alabama.
Okay.
I think that's it yet. Because I like somewhere I can drive to and come right back when I'm ready to come back. Maybe one day we'll go to Mexico or something. They've been asking, but I haven't been to Mexico yet with my husband, because not too many people are signing up for babysitting all the children for a week. So we're working on that, though. It might happen this year.
Let your 13-year-old get to be 15, and then maybe they'll do all the work. Who knows?
Yeah, they do good. They can keep each other alive all day, but I feel, maybe unfit parenting-ish if I leave or go to the Dominican Republic for a week.
Yeah, you're in charge. I'll see you in a week.
You're in charge. Just text me if something catches fire.
Yeah, really. That's good. All right. Well, cool. So that's the 4 pillars of productivity. I love that. I think each of those 4 you could probably talk about for a whole day. We don't have time for it all, but that's a good starting point. And then I want to hear another thing I had a question of.
Yes.
You've spoken about turning frustration into fruition. I want to hear a little bit more about that idea.
So for a lot of mamas, because we get distracted easily, and that is not an indictment on your focus level or how much ambition you have or any of that. It's the simple, here's my office and people need you. People need you. And because you are, most likely you prayed for this life, you asked for this, you said, I will marry you, let's have a baby. We asked for this in one way or another. And so what we have to remember is there are going to be these very typical frustrations that happen just because you have a family. You had kids, now my children know about the facts of life. And so they're like, Mom, y'all had the fun. We're here now, and it's like very, what, you're right. I'll make dinner, because, but these casual interruptions and little pings and, they can happen in the business world also with, electronic everything and the emails popping up and social media distractions and just a plethora of ways that we can get frustrated because we feel like we aren't getting things done and hitting our goals. So frustration to fruition means that I stop spinning my wheels. I stopped having the same goal for like 3 months, 6 months, and I graduate to a place where I'm beginning to see the fruit in my life, So one of my clients, when we started working together, she's in Trinidad, and she said, I feel like my entire life is on fire. She said, I feel like my business, my marriage, I hardly see my kids who are supposed to be homeschooled. She said, I feel like I'm working all the time, And so we had to change her frustration into a fruitfulness where she was able to slow down and take time with her family, and her business grew exponentially because she was more focused on the things that were the most income generating, So we're no longer just doing everything and pursuing all the goals and all the places, but we're very, very laser focused on those things that are going to bring that family vision to life. Of course, the family vision includes, my entrepreneur journey, ministry journey, speaking, all these things. Yeah. But, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on what matters and brings fruit.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Frustration to fruition. I think that's a brilliant idea, because a lot of times people can get fed up and they can lose confidence, and they can just kind of throw their hands up and just feel like, where am I going to go now? I'm in trouble.
Like, I give up. I'll just do it. Yeah. We do that at home. It's like, well, you're not doing it right. So I'll just go and I'll take care of it. And then you're frustrated consistently, and exhausted. And there is better, but we don't always know how to get between where we are to the family life and the business life that we desire. And then having self-care, like to celebrate dad being alone for a period of time, because you need time when no one's talking to you, for clarity.
Yeah.
How do I hear God if you're talking to me too? So for clarity, dad needs that time, mom needs that time, and even children need that time for them to go sit somewhere alone and think and draw or do whatever, but that we make care for self a priority in the home as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, well, I got to hear this from you because I feel like you are a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. What is the best advice you've ever received?
It would have to come from my mom. Unapologetic. It would have to come from my mother. And the thing that's coming to my mind at the moment is that you can't make it your season. So, a lot of us, we claim, it's my time. I am walking into this amazingness and everything. And we learn over time, especially at walking in faith, is that sometimes it's going to be spring, even though you're hoping it's winter, or it's going to be winter, even though you're hoping for summer. And we can't force ourselves to change in this dynamic way, right? Like sometimes God just wants you to go through the process, and no one likes process. I don't want to be patient. I don't want to have to read all the things or invest in all the ways, but then you find yourself later, still stuck in that same season. And so we have to remember that I can't force it to be spring in my life. I can only prepare for when it is.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. As you're talking about that, I'm thinking about my life. I gave a talk. I hear it in Phoenix, ASU. I gave a talk there to a bunch of kids just about how God uses kind of the hardest things, that you go through to refine you and create something more beautiful than you could ever hope or imagine. Like that's God's unique ability, is he turns pain into power. And I was just thinking of through my, I was engaged to someone before I met my wife. And it was miserable, it was hard, and it was like, wow, I know what I don't want.
Yes.
And then I met my wife, and it was like, bing, never take that for granted. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is exactly what I want. It was so clear, and our marriage is 1,000 times better than that would have been. And that just happens everywhere if you're looking for it, right? Like in my business, I had, sounds crazy, but I lost, I was cut out of $1 million from a business deal with a chiropractor. And
wow.
Thought the docs were signed. I built the business in 6 months to be a multi-million-dollar company. And turns out he never signed it, and he gave the job to his brother. And it was like one of those go home and throw up in the toilet moments.
Oh my gosh.
But the next day, my buddy, who's ironically is a pastor here in Phoenix, he called. He's just like, hey man, this was up in Seattle. He's like, why don't you come to Phoenix? You're, my wife now, Amy, who I was dating, was teaching down here, and we were doing distance. I thought she was coming back up to Seattle, and he's like, why don't you come down here and show her how much she means to you?
Wow. Very cavalier.
Next day, I picked up everything and moved down here, and we got engaged a month later. But the crazy thing that happened was we started Apex Fun Run the day I got here, which is now the largest school fundraising franchise in America. We got 100 franchises.
Wow, that is awesome.
500 people that do this now across the country. It teaches school kids leadership and fitness. We've raised $100 million or more now, and we've helped, I think, 4 million kids and their families.
Wow.
So I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah, and that's just like a business we've had for a long time. It's not even part of this podcast or anything. It's just I'm thinking about what you said. Like, things come in their due time. You have to go through the process. I became the man for my wife.
Yeah.
I became the leader to do this podcast right now. I had to go through fire.
Yeah.
years, right? And it makes you better. And now the opportunities in front of me, going through the fire is unbelievable. And my kids are going to be better for it. My marriage is going to be better for it. My faith, everything. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. That's some of the best.
My husband, related to what you just said, he would tell me when I was a younger mom, just had the first 3 kids, the oldest son and the twins, and they were toddlers. And I was just not in a good place between postpartum depression, and made it through that and was just exhausted. And you go through a culture shock, a societal shock, a womanhood, paradigm shift, when you become a mom and you become a caretaker consistently. He said, babe, God's doing something in you that's going to be amazing. And I just wanted to throat punch him because I just knew. So you just don't understand, you don't want to say God's not doing anything because that's wrong,
Yeah.
You don't want to say that, but that's how you feel sometimes. You feel like everything around me has dried up. You feel like the guy in Lamentations, where are you, Lord? And sometimes we have to remember that there are these seasons where we're going through the teaching process. Our maturity is being refined. We have to step up to the plate in certain ways, become more bold in certain ways, learn to communicate better, decide what we want for our families and for our businesses. Because some of us, we get so far into the business aspect that we don't think about, my kids need to see me in this role, in this place, So my dad felt like I'm a provider, and he was an awesome teacher to us as well. But he said, well, I'm providing, so maybe I don't have to be at the basketball game. And my brother was like, but I want you at the game. So then there's all of these different shifts, that we have to go through as parents, as individuals, as those walking in faith, to say, God, I want to be everything you want me to be, but I'm not sure how to handle being a superhero, and being a husband or a wife and a parent and a business owner, and wanting to practice that self-care time and mental wellness and health. It's just so many layers, but through the process, you're going to grow if you're intentionally looking for those ways.
Yeah. That's it. Be patient, sit through it, keep a good attitude. Love people around you. Good. Well, I got a bunch more questions, but I'm not going to ask them because that's the way to end it. So how can people find you? Is there a Facebook group, your website? Tell us how people can get a hold of you, because we'll put links to them all in our show notes.
Okay, gotcha. So my website is runningamathon.com. We help you run your race well. So whoever you are, whatever woman, feel free to hop over to my website, fill out the information. I just love to get to know the ladies and hear more about their families. Also, we're on social media at the Mamathon Diaries, Facebook and Instagram. And our Facebook group is Organize Your World with the Mamathon Divas.
All right. Organize Your World. And it's Momathon, correct?
Yes, sir. You got it.
1 M, not 2. It's important.
Yes.
Some people have 2 M's, but okay. Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I learned a ton. I'm not even a mom. I'm a dad.
Well, you have a mom in your life, so.
I have an amazing mom in my life. That's right. Yeah. And I love her dearly. So going to relay a lot of this too to my wife as we think about raising our kiddos and doing life in the spirit of our home. And thank you so much again, Christina.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Scott.
And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time on the podcast. Take care.